All right, everybody, welcome to the FTW Wrestlemania Round Table Extravaganza of Stars. Coming to you live on March 11, 2012 with Joe. Say hello, Joe.
Hello.
Greg from killthecan.org. Say hi, buddy.
Hello. How goes it?
Pretty good. Garvin's man of the boards, and as always, I'm Harrison. If you're new to the show, check out FTWpodcast.com for more about us and how to get involved in tonight's show, as well as upcoming shows. You can reach out to us on Twitter, Facebook, voicemail, text message, and email. We're bringing your comments and questions throughout the show, so if you want your voice to be heard, this is your opportunity. Tonight's live chat can be found at FTWpodcast.com/live, and you can also email questions at questions at FTWpodcast.com. And if you're on Twitter, use hashtag FTWLive. We'll be reading all your messages on the air throughout the night. So we're going to be going, doc out of the show, is to go through WrestleMania. Every WrestleMania that happened since, well, basically 1985 was the first one. And we're going to go show by show. We're going to talk about the best things about it and the worst things about it. And we left off at WrestleMania 10, so now we're going to go into WrestleMania 11. April 2nd. 1995 from Hartford, Connecticut, where the Wasps like to congregate. This one, I don't know. I want to like it, but a couple of things really I did not like. The main event, for one, I mean, it was okay, but I mean, Lawrence Taylor, Reggie White, I mean, all those guys defeating Bam Bam Bigelow and the $1 Million Corporation.
I mean, yeah. It's rough. I mean, OLT, fuck LT.
Yeah.
The one thing that I was kind of glad about is this is Bob Backlund's last WrestleMania, as far as I remember.
I think so.
I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah, losing to Bret Hart in an I Quit match, which was cool. Go Bret.
I personally,
this is crappy wrestlers for decades.
Yeah.
This is my least favorite Mania of all time. And
even the Toga one, you didn't like that one more than this.
Yep. This and the reason is because of the main event. It absolutely boggles my mind. I don't understand what Bam Bam Bigelow did to piss somebody off to have to put Lawrence Taylor over in the middle of the ring. As truly as a wrestling fan, like that insults me, honestly.
Well not just Lawrence Taylor. I mean, it's like all of these people.
Chris Spielman.
I mean, yeah. Reggie White, Steve McMichael. I mean, Steve McMichael, interestingly enough, is a nominee for our Hall of Shame as we come closer to this WrestleMania. I mean, and Bam Bam Bigelow had to make him look good, as well as Lawrence Taylor and everybody else. Yeah,
I mean, Bam Bam here, like, I hold Bam Bam in pretty high regards as a wrestler, as a big guy, and I really don't know what he did to deserve this, because he really never even came back after this. I mean, you got to go for another Bam Bam moment. You got to go until Taz put him through, the ramp, and that's 15 years later, and that's in ECW. He never recovered.
Yeah, as far as the WWF/WWE goes. WrestleMania 11 was pretty much the death of Bam Bam Bigelow's career.
On that note, Undertaker went 4-0.
Against King Kong Bundy, no less.
Yeah, I'm trying to think like something good we can talk about. I don't know, Diesel defeating Shawn Michaels to retain the title?
Boo.
Yeah, this was just a bad pay-per-view. I don't know. It's just one of those things where it was everything that could go... Everything... It wasn't like mistakes. It was just booked horribly. The gimmicks were terrible. The lineup was awful. It was just a bad...
It was what 1995 was.
Yeah.
Well,
I think...
Shitty year.
I think one of the main problems was this was like one of those WrestleManias where I think up before WrestleMania 11, the attitude is, well, we can't have too many celebrities, or we can't have too many stars. I think WrestleMania 11 proved that, yeah, you can actually. I mean, because they just they just loaded so many people into that main event, and it just. I agree with Greg. I want to know who the hell Bam Bam Bigelow pissed off. I want to know what he did. That they're like, okay, you know how we're going to punish you? Here. You lose in this match.
and look bad doing it, no less.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't like we can look at him like, someone like, I don't know. Yeah, he just did. It was just terrible, just terrible. We're watching this at WrestleMania 12. We're moving on. March 31st, 1996, at Arrowhead Pond in Anaheim, California. Here it is, folks. Stone Cold and Triple H both made the WrestleMania debuts. It only had 6 matches, but ladies and gentlemen, this is why. Because this was the pay-per-view that had, in my opinion, the greatest wrestling match of all time in Shawn Michaels versus Bret Hart in a 60-man Iron Man match.
Yes. Thank you, Harrison. I'm 100% with you on this. I've always been a fan of the Iron Man match, and Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart is why. I mean, and like you said, it went to overtime. I mean, these two...
They went at it.
Yeah, I dare somebody to find a better match.
Ever. Not just Iron Man. Ever.
Yeah. I mean, in the history of pro wrestling, I think Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart took pro wrestling to another level with this Iron Man match.
What? Are you kidding? I mean, you can't... Better match... The Ringmaster Steve Austin against Savio Vega. Same card, buddy. Obviously, I'm kidding, Rob. Obviously.
I'm like, okay, I'm coming to Detroit to kill somebody.
Hey, as long as you're gonna come out and hang out, man, that's cool. Come kill me.
When you look at this card, aside from Ringmaster, when you look at this card, Undertaker defeating Diesel, Ultimate Warrior defeating Triple H with Sable. God, Sable. She was like my first...
Backlot Brawl with Piper and Goldust.
Yes, that one too. Owen Hart, British Bulldog, and Vader defeating Yokozuna, Jake the Snake, and Ahmad Johnson. When you look at this pay-per-view 1996 was the first WrestleMania since like the Monday Night Wars started in 95. So when you look at this compared to the pay-per-view that was beforehand, you can't help but think that the reason why this pay-per-view was so good was because WCW was breathing down their necks.
I think so, yeah. I mean, WCW, especially at the beginning, was really taking it to the WWE, and the WWE was losing the battle on a lot of fronts. So I think WrestleMania 12 is one of the parts where the WWE realized, okay, if we don't give fans a reason to watch us, we are dead meat.
No celebrities, no awful gimmick. I mean, the Hollywood Backlot Brawl.
Yeah, I was going to say, that for the Backlot Brawl, they showed clips of the O.J. Simpson chase.
Okay, there is that. But, I mean, there was no... 1 year ago, Bam Bam Bigelow was putting over Lawrence Taylor, and then 1 year later, the main event is Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to look at and you can't think that WCW didn't have any kind of influence on that. I mean, does anybody disagree?
No, not at all.
No,
I mean,
not
that's
at
I agree 100%.
Okay. All right. So WrestleMania 13 was March 23rd, 1997, Rosemont Horizon at Rosemont, Illinois. This was it. This was Rocky Maivia defeating the Sultan with Bob Backlund and the Iron Sheik to retain the IC championship.
Bob Backlund's back.
Well, as a promoter, but yeah. Triple H with China this time, defeating Goldust with Marlena. What else we got? Tag Team Championship, Owen Hart and British Bulldog taking on Mankind and Vader. This was Mankind's first ever WrestleMania appearance. That went to a double count out. What else?
Undertaker Legion of Doom against the Nation of Domination.
Yeah.
Bret Hart defeating Stone Cold in a submission match with Ken Shamrock as the special guest referee.
This is the match that made Austin. This is when Austin blew up.
Really, you'd say this match was it, huh? Yeah, I guess
absolutely. Yes.
The King of the Ring.
Absolutely. It's this match right here that they did the double switch. Austin went from heel to a face.
That's right.
And it was this match.
That's right. Excellent point, Greg. That's right. Yeah, this is when they switched him from heel to face and back to heel.
Yeah, and this is the one where he's in the sharpshooter. He's got blood running down his face. He's not giving up. I mean, this is where everybody, women, children, men, women, whatever, love Stone Cold Steve Austin because of this match.
Yeah, and Bret Hart went to heel in one match. Yeah, I think I remember. Didn't we talk? A few, like I want to say, like last year we did a thing where we did Stone Cold's career, and we've talked about this match for a while because of how important it was for his career. So yeah, Greg, I'll agree with you, man. Yeah.
Holy crap! I forgot we even did that.
Yeah. Well, we were going to do it every week. We decided it was too much research. Yeah, Greg, I'm going to have to agree with you. I was going to say with Joe that it was the King of the Ring, but yeah, this match was spectacular. What else? Taker defeated Psycho Sid for the WWE Championship main event. Taker's first ever championship main event at a WrestleMania.
First ever main event, not his first title, but yeah.
No, it was first time at.
He won Tuesday in Texas, like way years and years. In fact, even on the broadcast, they said that it was first title, but it wasn't.
No, first WrestleMania main event.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah. All right. Anything else you guys want to talk about with this one?
No,
not really. I think we covered all of the stuff. I mean, of course, there's the Chicago street fight, which is funny because it's Rosemont and not really Chicago, but
that's why it's brand. It's a Chicago style street fight, like a Chicago dog. You know, with the cilantro.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's been the Rosemont Rumble, something like that.
Rosemont Rumble from Down Under? No.
All right. Well, one thing we should bring up, WrestleMania 13, it was the debut of The Rock. So, I mean, yes. Yeah, that is somewhat important. Although, man, I would really love to see him versus the Iron Sheik again.
Oh, God.
Come on, don't tell me that wouldn't be awesome. WrestleMania 14, Fleet Center in Boston, Massachusetts. This was the first appearance of Pete Rose. He was attacked by Kane in this one. First European Championship match at WrestleMania. Rock debuted his catchphrase, "If you smell what The Rock is cooking." This is the first ever match between Kane and Undertaker, and Mike Tyson was I'm sorry?
Woot woot.
And Mike Tyson was the special guest enforcer for the main event, and this, ladies and gentlemen, was the first ever pay-per-view I ever saw. Or the first ever WrestleMania I ever saw. Because we just got cable, and I begged my parents, and we got this one. And I got to say, to pop your cherry, I can't imagine a better one.
Good show.
Oh, it was fantastic. I mean, tag team battle royale. I mean, you're talking about, when we were talking about the height of tag teams before, I mean, you had everybody was in this one. Legion of Doom, DOA.
The artist formerly known as Goldust.
Yes, the artist formerly known as Goldust. Farouk and Kama. This was awesome.
You know what you're leaving out is Too Cool from that tag team battle royal. Scott Taylor and Brian Christopher.
Oh yeah. Well. Scott Taylor and Brian Christopher. Yeah. Yeah. Everybody. Mark Henry and D'Lo Brown.
Taka Michinoku.
Yeah, he defeated Aguila to retain the light heavyweight championship. This was this was like the only time the light heavyweight championship was ever in the WrestleMania, wasn't it? I can't think of another time. Was it ever in the light heavyweight though? Not, I mean,
true.
Because after they merged it, they did the cruiserweight once, didn't they? Or did they not?
I believe so. I think that was much further down though.
Yeah, so I can say this is the only time the light heavyweight championship. But God, and this thing that title didn't even last very long.
And another match that I think kind of stands out is the World Tag Team Championship match, dumpster match, where Cactus Jack and Terry Funk defeat the New Age Outlaws, which is significant because the New Age Outlaws become one of the, best tag teams in WWE, WWF history.
And they got you didn't know.
No ask but a call somebody to get me out of the dumpster.
Kevin, why couldn't you be on here? European Championship, Triple H defeated Owen Hart to retain. Awesome match. I always remember that match. Undertaker defeating Kane to go 5-0, I think.
Are you sure he won? No, I'm kidding. I think
it was 5 or was it 6? Regardless. And then the IC Championship, The Rock defeating Ken Shamrock after a reverse decision after Ken Shamrock would not release the ankle rock.
And you can't forget the main event, Stone Cold beating Shawn Michaels.
with DX and Mike Tyson as a special ring enforcer. When Tyson did that pow and got Michaels out.
Yep.
Yeah, this was a really, really good pay-per-view. It was my first ever WrestleMania. So
one other thing to point out about this one that wasn't even really on the card, but one of the best promos I've ever seen came from this WrestleMania. It was the "I'm Not a Real Athlete" promo. I don't know if you guys remember those. They're incredible. And if you haven't seen them, you're not going to remember them, but you should try to go see them. They are basically, this is when the WWE starts to get real and they start to talk about how hey, you can get hurt doing this kind of stuff. The promos are they're chilling.
Oh, those PSAs.
Yeah, essentially.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, when you're saying promo, like, I'm not a real athlete, I'm trying to, I don't remember, Shawn Michaels doing that. But yeah, the PSAs. Yeah, this is when they started going after the backyard wrestling thing and trying to put the kibosh on that. They just didn't stop doing that. And usually it's just you can get her with this, it's real, whatever. Just a disclaimer at the end of the show.
Yeah.
All right. WrestleMania 15. March 28th, 1999 was at the First Union Center in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Brawl for All was held here with Butterbean knocked out Bart Gunn. Remember that?
Butterbean.
Yeah, buddy. Oh, Butterbean. Stone Cold won the title here, making him the first ever to win the title at consecutive WrestleManias. So there you go. And the first hardcore championship match at WrestleMania was at this very one.
Small tidbit of information, though. Brawl for All theme music is now Ezekiel Jackson's theme.
It is?
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
They added lyrics to it, and there you go.
Huh, that's pretty awesome. Oh, jeez, man, we can just go through here. Women's champions, Sable defeated Tori, and what I believe, this was back when women's wrestling and WWE was actually treated with respect, until they started doing the bra and panties matches, and then that was terrible. Shane O'Mac with Test defeating X-Pac to retain the European Championship. Wow. I forgot Shane O'Mac held gold.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, he gets a bad rep, but he actually has some decent matches, believe it or not.
Oh yeah.
He can actually wrestle for a non-wrestler.
I've said that countless times. For somebody who A, was a part-time wrestler, and B, not really, because of that, not really what we think of as like a true professional wrestler. The guy had a lot of talent.
Yeah, that's the thing that gets me is nobody in the WWE can complain about having to do something in their job when the fucking boss is doing crazy shit.
Like
in the
jumping
ring.
50 feet.
Yeah.
Or letting Kurt Angle throw him through the King of the Ring plastic signs.
Yeah.
And they've done interviews with Kurt Angle where the sign didn't break one time, and Shane falls right on his head.
That happened twice in that match.
Right, yeah. They've done countless interviews with Angle, and Angle's like, I was scared shitless, he says, because I thought I broke his neck.
Yeah.
And you wonder why Shane doesn't. And you wonder why Shane doesn't come back to the WWE.
Yeah.
What else? Undertaker defeating the Big Boss Man in the first Hell in a Cell match at a WrestleMania. In the WWE Championship main event, Stone Cold Steve Austin defeating The Rock to become the champion. Catapulting both of their careers.
And starting their epic rivalry.
Epic rivalry. Absolutely epic.
Rivalry.
Yeah, Mankind was the referee because he defeated the Big Show to become referee for that main event. Yeah. Oh, man. All right. Move on to WrestleMania 16.
Show enough.
Okay. WrestleMania 16 was WrestleMania 2000, April 2nd, 2000. It was leave it to WWE to basically try and over-promote something. Triple H was heel. That was the first time in WrestleMania history that a non-fan favorite walked out as the winner of the main event with the championship title. There was no traditional one-on-one match. China, they had a WrestleMania in-ring debut here, and 9 men competed in matches for the Intercontinental, European, and World Tag Team Championships. They were Kurt Angle, Chris Benoit, he who shall now be named, Jericho, Edge, Christian, the Dudleys, and the Hardy Boys. They all made their in-ring WrestleMania debuts at this one right here. I mean, you can't. I mean, what stands out to you guys? Is it the Fatal 4-Way match, or is it the IC and European Championship triple threat matches?
How do you not look at the Edge, Christian, Dudleys, and Hardy Boy tag team ladder match as one of the best matches to come out of this WrestleMania? Epically awesome.
Yeah.
That to me, that defined WrestleMania. I believe this was the first WrestleMania that I saw to get me back into wrestling. So I remember sitting there watching all this, the Intercontinental and European triple threat match, which was the weirdest match in my opinion. So it wasn't, like you had Chris Benoit, you had Chris Jericho, and Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle walks in with both titles. So they just decide that whoever gets the first pin gets the European title.
Yeah.
And then whoever gets the second one gets the Intercontinental. I was like, well, what if I just wanted the Intercontinental title? Like, do I just kind of sit back and let those two go at it for a while? And you won the European now? I guess now I'll start in. I don't know. Yeah. It was very awkward in my opinion.
You gotta think that match. Looking back on it, I mean, did you think that maybe they had something else planned?
No, they just wanted to find an easy way to get both the titles off Kurt Angle so they could do something else with them.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. I mean, it just seems so rushed, What else? Fatal 4-Way elimination match for the WWE Championship. This had Triple H with Stephanie McMahon defeating The Rock with Mr. McMahon with Mick Foley, and this was this was the family match, right? Where they had all the McMahons.
Yes, McMahon in every corner.
McMahon in every corner, yeah. Mick Foley, Big Show, Triple H, The Rock. Yeah.
Was there ever? I mean, did anybody else go like, really, Shane, Big Show, really? You couldn't. I mean, somebody else.
Who else was there?
Hey.
Taz.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Taz was still around at this point, wasn't
he? Yeah.
Yeah. Overall, I mean, you look at this card, and there was a lot of big names debut here. At least their first WrestleMania. But if you go back to how it was received, a lot of the quote-unquote dirt sheets back in that time were really against the show, saying it was probably one of the worst WrestleManias ever. But overall, I agree with Joe. I mean, I watched this WrestleMania, and it was probably the one that really brought me to know that I wanted to watch WrestleMania every year. Before that, it was kind of give or take on whether or not I would try. But I thought overall this was a good show.
Oh yeah, hands down. Looking back on it, I mean, because now you got to think the IC and European Championship triple threat match. Maybe it seems kind of hectic now, but when you look at the names in it, you're seeing the future of the company for the next 10 years in that match, in this pay-per-view.
And what struck me about this one too is this was a WrestleMania where you've got like the celebrity appearance coming like at the beginning of the show. Big Boss Man and Bull Buchanan defeating D'Lo Brown and The Godfather with Ice-T.
I forgot about that. Oh God. There's a metaphor there that I don't want to make. All right, WrestleMania 17, April 1st, 2001, was at the Reliant Astrodome in Houston, Texas. A couple fun facts. One, it marked Rock's third consecutive main event appearance. Marked Stone Cold's third main event win. At this point, he is 3-0. 5 different titles changed hands, which is a record, and it was the first WrestleMania match for Vince McMahon. Go to it, guys. I mean, what was the standout moment for you?
I loved. I really liked Bradshaw, Farouk, and Taz teaming up against Right to Censor. as far as the lower card goes. And Jericho and Regal, I thought, had a great match for the Intercontinental Championship, too.
It's a shame that I was muted because right before you started talking, Rob, I said it sure as fuck wasn't the Chris Jericho versus William Regal match. No, I mean, jumping over, they did it the previous WrestleMania. They just one-upped it. Edge and Christian beating the Dudleys and Hardy Boys in a TLC match. Tag team TLC match. That's just a hard thing to beat. Shane McMahon beating Vince McMahon. Impressive feat by both men. You can't. We talked about the boss work ethic.
Yeah, I mean, and this was a match where, I mean, Shane McMahon. The move that stands out to me the most about this match was when Shane McMahon. Yes, when Shane McMahon puts the garbage can against Vince McMahon and literally jumps from one corner of the ring to the other and nails him with a drop kick. I mean, I was just like, holy shit.
That's still why every WrestleMania I just wait anxiously to hear "Here Comes the Money."
Yes.
I know he's not coming back, but still.
And then,
it would be huge.
And then, of course, who can forget the gimmick battle royal? Iron Sheik.
Oh, God. Brother Love.
The Bushwhacker.
The Goon.
You know why Sheik didn't win, or why Sheik won, right?
Sergeant Slaughter.
Nikolai Volkov.
Yes, Nikolai Volkov.
You guys know why Sheik won, right?
Why?
Because his knees are so bad they couldn't throw him out over. They'd
explode when he landed.
Yeah, overall, this was a great answer to WrestleMania 16. You know, a lot of the critics were against the previous WrestleMania, and everyone seemed to love this one. And it was a fantastic group of matches, like you guys said, Right to Censor versus Bradshaw, Farouk, and Taz. Obviously, this was in the era with the Hardcore Championship, and those matches were always entertaining, not fantastic, but they were entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The Women's Championship, that China versus Ivory match still, I still look at that match fondly.
And Stone Cold beats the crap out of The Rock for a second time now to win the title.
Right.
You know what really impressed me, and looking back, because I hated Right to Censor, but looking back, because I thought it was a horrible gimmick, but I love it now. I love the idea. I love what they were trying to do with it. It just, the fans didn't really. It got JBL heat, not because he was a good heel, like they were good heels. It's because people were just fucking sick of him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
it was a great inside joke, but if you didn't understand what they were trying to accomplish, it didn't make sense.
Yeah, that was my problem. Is back then it would work great now with the dirt sheets and with the internet and everything. It would work fantastic now, but back in 2001, no, not really. Because the dirt sheets back then was basically what? It was like 3 sites. It was PW Torch and PWI, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, if you weren't like an insider in the business, Right to Censor really made no sense to you.
Yeah, because they couldn't come out and say what they were doing, because then it loses the appeal. It's like telling everyone the punchline. It's like explaining the joke to everyone. So so they couldn't. So they had to dance around that, and in that case, it just didn't work out. I mean, Joe. I mean, you're right. It was a cool idea, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just a side story. Right to Censor, that whole movement that was going on at the time, I actually used Right to Censor and this WrestleMania as a motivation for a term paper I was doing. It was actually like a presentation in college for persuasive communication, where we had to explain both sides of the story. Like at this time was PTC, the parents, teachers,
television,
or something.
Parents Television Council or something.
Yeah, basically in their fight against WWF or WWE, I forget which one it was at that time. And who's at fault for, the backyard wrestling and all the injuries that were occurring in school and all that stuff. So, I definitely I remember this entire pay-per-view very, very fondly. I think overall this was probably one of my favorite WrestleManias.
Yeah.
All right. WrestleMania 18 was just the second time that WrestleMania was ever held outside the U.S. in Toronto, Canada. It was Hogan's first WrestleMania match since WrestleMania 9, and Taker extended his streak to 10-0. And I'm trying to remember when they actually started talking about it as a streak, and I want to say it's when he got to 12. So I don't think they started...
I want to say it was this one. I want to say that, it's 10. Once he got to 10, they're like, this is a streak.
I think so. I think it's right about now where they're like, he's won 10 matches in a row. I think now is when they really started to build it.
Okay.
And push it.
Sure. And what's interesting is I think this is one of the few times that WrestleMania has actually gone, even though it's gone back to Toronto, it went back to the same building. Like when WrestleMania 23 came around, WrestleMania came back to Detroit, but it wasn't in the same building.
Oh, right. Well, the Pontiac.
Pontiac Silverdome.
Yeah, it wasn't still there, was it?
It's still there. It's still standing.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
A building still standing in Detroit? Good on you.
Well, no, it's actually in Pontiac, so that's the problem.
Okay.
But, looking at this card, this is another good one. And looking at the names, you had Rob Van Dam beating William Regal to win the Intercontinental title.
Yeah.
Diamond Dallas Page beat Christian for the European title.
DDP.
It's me. It's DDP. Hell yeah. I like you. You like me. It's me. It's DDP. God, and that was his last match, was it not? His last WrestleMania.
It was his last WrestleMania. Yeah, I want to say he still kept going on for a little bit longer, but yeah, that was his last WrestleMania. This was after the. Was this after the? This was after the brand merging, wasn't it?
Yeah, this was after the.
WWE bought WCW this year or this.
No, it was before that because at this point, Diamond Dallas Page had moved on to his public speaking gimmick.
Right.
Because he took off through the crowd with that European title.
Yeah. Okay. One thing I do want to point out at this point is WrestleMania 18 was the Icon versus Icon match. It was Rock defeating Hulk Hogan, which was, at the time, they knew what they were doing, and that was Hulk Hogan is reaching the end of his career. Well, you would assume the end of his career.
He's passing the torch to the next biggest star.
Exactly. Passing the torch to the next standout star in The Rock. And this was, I got to say, WrestleMania 18, this was the perfect time in both their careers for this to happen. Because at this point, The Rock was hot. He was one of, if not the biggest star in WrestleMania, but he hadn't made that leap outside of wrestling into Hollywood yet. So the fact that Hogan handed the torch to him at this point was pretty huge.
I've got a good recollection of a lot of this pay-per-view. The one thing I just don't even remember is Stone Cold beating Scott Hall.
Yeah, I don't remember that match either. I remember Taker and Ric Flair. I remember the Triple H and Jericho match. But yeah, you're right. I do not remember. I don't remember. Do you remember it, Rob or Garvin? Stone Cold versus Scott Hall?
No, I really don't. But I mean, mostly because I was probably busy trying to keep up with the Hardcore Championship, because I think this was either the start of or during the time when the Hardcore Championship had to be defended 24/7. So we have Spike Dudley, Hurricane, Mighty Molly, Maven, and even Christian all scoring pinfalls during WrestleMania to become Hardcore Champion.
Yeah. One of the scariest things to come out of WrestleMania, Jazz in a WrestleMania, beating Lita and Trish. Looking back at women's wrestling over the last 20 years, man, those were two huge icons. And Jazz picks up the win.
Yeah, but think back to, at that time. Jazz was beastly.
She's still beastly.
And I was scared of Jazz and what she could do. So I
felt sorry for Rodney Mack. That's why I felt sorry for her.
Yeah. But overall, I think that if definitely it's kind of strange to see how things have happened. Monday morning quarterbacking it. What happened to Jazz? She beat two icons here, and now is MIA.
Nowhere.
She's like wherever Scott is right now.
Well, that's because her husband had an issue in WWE, Rodney Mack. and she pretty much followed him out. It's
Oh, okay.
they don't really keep the spouses around too long, although there's some cases where that actually still continues. But
Yeah.
and don't forget the main event, Triple H beating Chris Jericho to win the Undisputed Championship.
Yep. The soon to become.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the Undisputed Champion.
Defeating. Yeah.
Oh, that was a pretty good match.
Hell yeah, it was.
All right, WrestleMania 19 at Safeco Field in Seattle, Washington. This was the first WrestleMania for Victoria, Rey Mysterio, Shelton Benjamin, Charlie Haas, Brock Lesnar, and Chavo Guerrero. It was first time both the WWE and World Heavyweight Championships were on the line on the same card, and this was Hogan's first WrestleMania win since 1993. Really, Cruiserweight Championship, Matt Hardy versus defeating Rey Mysterio to retain. That match, in my opinion, just lit the world on fire. Just because Rey Mysterio was just coming out of the gate, the guy was astonishing.
Yeah, but I mean, and Matt Hardy winning, it was Matt Hardy version 1.
Yeah, it was not 2.0, where they come in without all the bugs in the software. What about Brock Lesnar defeating Kurt Angle for the WWE Championship?
Yeah, awesome. Brock, it was because of Brock that the WWE Championship exists. Where he took it from the Undisputed and they just slapped that other belt onto Triple H.
Yeah.
But no, that was a great match, and every year I'm amazed. Every year every match Brock Lesnar's in, I was just impressed by the guy beating Kurt Angle, one of our current legends in the ring. Just
Brock
great.
Lesnar was one of those guys where he came on. It seemed like they were almost ready to build an entire division just for that one guy. I mean, like you said, they basically gave him the title, and then they made the World Heavyweight Championship, and then threw it on Triple H. It was almost like, we can't not have this guy in the mid. We can't put this guy in the mid card and have him fight up. He's main event walking in.
But I mean, go ahead, Reb.
To me, the thing that always stands out about Brock Lesnar is, when he first makes his appearance, it's like, okay, this is the WWE's, this is another gimmick, the WWE's answer to Goldberg. Only instead of Gilbert, the little guy that got his ass kicked all the time. But then they didn't do that. It's like the WWE realized that they could have done that, but stopped and like, okay, no. This is imagine Goldberg with talent. We give you Brock Lesnar.
Hey, that I'll let you have that one. All right. Shawn Michaels defeating. Oh, I'm sorry. Go on, Joe.
Oh, I was going to say the triple threat tag team match. Team Angle, otherwise known as the world's greatest tag team, besides Shelton Benjamin and Charlie Haas, beating Los Guerreros and Chris Benoit and Rhino. Chris Benoit and Rhino. Did anybody think they were going to win? Didn't think so.
Shawn Michaels defeating Chris Jericho. Taker defeated Big Show and A-Train. It was just, yeah. I mean, and Hulk Hogan or Hollywood Hogan defeating Mr. McMahon for the street fight. The only thing I really have to say that was kind of meh was the cat fight with this
Tori Wilson
and the Miller Lite girls. The cat fight girls. Sorry. This was the beginning of the downfall of the Divas division, or this was the beginning of the downfall of ladies wrestling in WWE when they brought in the Miller Lite cat fight girls and even went to a fucking no contest. I mean, you had Tori Wilson and Stacy Keibler. Why didn't they win? But it was one of those things where it was like, this was the beginning of the end of what prestige that division had. So, now it's going to get depressing when we talk about women's wrestling, which is sad.
Yeah, and that's not to say that there hadn't been, better women's matches on WrestleMania, just because the next one there was a pretty good one. But it definitely showed the model that they were eventually going to emulate on just about every card, which is sad. Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, I mean, you will have a few bright spots because, I mean, a lot of these women that do go in there are very talented. But then, like you said, I mean, this is the model. This is where WWE is going to go with it. And you can tell that it's just like, This is just going to be terrible.
Two other things, like the Shawn Michaels versus Chris Jericho match was probably the match of the night. They both put on a phenomenal match. It was also surprising that Rock versus Stone Cold wasn't the main event, since that's what we had seen previously. But also the Triple H versus Booker T match, that was the one that really pushed those racist overtones on this. It was basically, where Triple H and Ric Flair were pushing that end of it, trying to get people riled up into the whole idea where, what we've discussed before, where there's racism in wrestling. This was one of those, milestone type things where a lot of people reference that just how they built it up, and obviously, Triple H won. So.
Okay, cool. All right, so next up is WrestleMania XX at Madison Square Garden, New York. Molly Holly was shaved bald. The U.S. title was defended for the first time in WrestleMania history, but the most important the inductees were Superstar Billy Graham, Junkyard Dog, Sergeant Slaughter, Big John Studd, Tito Santana, Greg the Hammer Valentine, Bobby the Brain Heenan, Harley Race, Don Morocco, and Jesse the Body Ventura, and yes, Pete Rose.
Pete Rose.
Paul Bearer also returned. The women's championship, Victoria versus Molly Holly, was pretty spectacular, especially when they sat Molly Holly down the middle of the ring and just whoop.
She's someone who Molly Holly is probably one of the better women's wrestlers to come through in the last, 10 years. And
get nothing for it.
And got nothing for it.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're dead on there, Joe. She definitely ranks up there with some of the better women's wrestlers that the WWE had. And as we were saying with like the last WrestleMania, where this was kind of like the beginning of where the women's wrestling was going to go, I think Molly Holly is like one of those first talented women's wrestlers that the WWE has no idea what to do with.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you want to look at the same card. You end up with there's an evening gown match with Sable and Tori Wilson beating Stacy Keibler and Miss Jackie. And Molly Holly's got to be like, why are you guys doing that when we're trying to build credible? You're shaving your head. God damn it. You know what I mean?
At the same time, that was the first wardrobe malfunction that I can remember.
Yep.
Yes.
No.
No, it was the Braun Panties match was the first one.
It was the one with the cat.
No.
Yes, where she just popped her top.
Yeah. I don't. Now that you say that, I can't remember which one came first, but I know that I don't
think that was WrestleMania, though.
WrestleMania, so.
Oh yeah, it was the first one at WrestleMania. Yeah.
There you go.
But this WrestleMania, WrestleMania 20, I believe, is also the debut of John Cena in WrestleMania.
Yeah, it is. It was John Cena's first ever. Yeah, won the U.S.
Because he defeats the Big Show to become the U.S. champion.
The hip hop homeboy.
Yeah, I was going to say, and this is John Cena when he still had his cool gimmick before the WWE.
This back when he had B Square, didn't it?
Yeah, I think so. No.
Yes.
I thought he picked up B Square after this.
No.
Okay. I do want to bring up one point though. Molly Holly did win the Hardcore Championship, and she did hold it for a little bit of time. So she did have that going for her.
Yeah, but one of the worst matches I've ever seen in WrestleMania, Goldberg beating Brock Lesnar. Both these guys' last match. And throughout the entire match, the crowd is chanting "na na 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 na, hey, goodbye."
Yeah, this was definitely when we started taking advantage of the internet to find out wrestling information. So you knew exactly that these guys were leaving, and everyone in attendance knew. It was definitely an eye opener for the WWE and how to hide that information a bit better. But yeah, and this is actually being talked in the live chat as well. So.
Oh, thanks, guys. Yeah, this was, and to be completely honest, like if you take that aspect out of it, you figure, these two guys going at it would be a lock. Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar. I mean, you figure these two would just be put on a show that would just be, pop fest. But yeah, it was because we all knew that it was their last match.
And this is the WWE. This is the WrestleMania with the blackest mark on it. Why? Because of Chris Benoit. Chris Benoit beat Triple H and Shawn Michaels to become the World Heavyweight Champion, and then Eddie Guerrero also beat Kurt Angle to retain. So go Radicals! But this is the WrestleMania that they won't talk about anymore.
Yeah, right. They did. Yeah, which is kind of sad because it was it was Double X was the first one that had the Hall of Fame, and I mean a lot of important. I mean, John, like we said, John Cena debuted here. Victoria and Molly Holly. I mean, that was a women's championship match, and this was like one of the last times we actually saw the women's championship, wasn't it? It didn't last very much longer because then they brought in the Divas Championship after that.
Oh, the Divas Championship you probably got another 3 or 4 years, right?
Yeah. There was at least 3 or 4 more WrestleMania.
That was the next one. Yeah, it's there.
Okay, good.
But what should be noted about Chris Benoit, if you look on WWE's website, they did not mention Chris Benoit at all, except for when they're giving the WrestleMania cards. That's the only time that I have ever found a reference to Chris Benoit has been on these cards.
Well, how else would you do it? I mean, you got to say that he won. I mean, the Triple Threat World the Triple Threat World Heavyweight Championship match defeated with Triple H and Shawn Michaels losing to someone else.
Yeah. Losing to a guy from Canada.
They would just leave it out.
It was vacated.
It was vacated. But you had both.
Oh, let's say this was Taker Kane too.
Yeah. This was their second match. But I mean, you look at this, and Joe, you're right. I mean, this is the one they won't talk about because they can't dance around it. Both of their biggest titles were won by these two guys this night.
Well, yeah, but you talk about Eddie Guerrero because that was he just happened to die. It's not like he did the Chris thing. But I mean, you can talk about that because it's a WWE title. They can ignore the fact that the one made up title, the title that didn't have the history for them, just wasn't there. They can cut that out if they're putting it in text. Obviously, if you're watching a tape, all right, and the main you can't
just cut the static.
No national anthem as we put the test bars up, but yeah.
Well, you've heard our thoughts, but now we want to hear from you. You can find us on Facebook and Twitter, and even join us live every Tuesday at 8 p.m. at theftwpodcast.com.